thank you so much for joining me for a brief coffee with the editor following the release of the State of Safety report. Some interesting numbers, some improvements, some not so great improvements. For you, what do you think the biggest area of concerns are?
For me, the biggest concerns in this whole report, as has been tabled, is the issues of security, particularly when we talk to matters of PRASA, that when you look at the statistics, we are able to see that there are challenges with respect to issues of security and issues of safety, of course. But the most challenging thing that one has been observing is the fact that people disrespect the laws, because when you go to the railway areas in the Western Cape, people have occupied the whole railway reserve, including internally on the railway tracks. They have really built houses in that, an indication that people disrespect the laws. And for me, those are the concerning things that one from time to time observes.
Yes. And I think also because, the report covers the period before lockdown. So, next year's State of Safety is going to look completely different to this year's report. How is the Department of Transport working with PRASA to resolve these issues, especially like on the Central Line in Cape Town?
We have really worked not only with PRASA, particularly looking at the rail reserves, but we have also worked with the municipalities of Tshwane for the Mabopane line and the municipality of Cape Town with respect to making sure that we are able to get accommodation for those people who are residing in the railway reserves. But also, one of the things that we've been doing as the department, we have even issued regulations on the issues of railway reserve, and we believe that people will be able to look into those regulations and how we can be able to move forward. But what becomes very important for me is to make sure that we educate our communities on the importance of safety. Crossing the railway lines in areas where you are not expected to cross is but one thing that you would see, especially when you come into townships and in areas where there will be trains commuting, particularly going to work. A person will just jump from one area, cross the railway lines and go to the next platform because that person believes that he will be late and the train will pass. And these are some of the things that create and causes fatality. But like I have indicated, we've got the regulations that have been taken out, and we believe that we will start to implement that. As the department, we are working with the Minister of Police. There are railway police that will be working, have started working within the ambit of PRASA, but PRASA have also insourced security personnel, make sure that almost every station there will be security personnel. The plans going forward from PRASA is to make sure that there will be drones. We should be able to have walling along the corridors, particularly those corridors where there is almost like 30 minutes trains moving in that particular corridor. We need to have walls around those, but also to have those railway police who will be in the trains having body cameras so that they can be able to identify the critical challenges that are there. Remember, not only are we talking about the challenges of safety outside the trains, there are serious challenges inside the trains of theft, criminality that is happening, theft and other related criminalities that from time to time when you hear people talking about, you just get the chill down your spine to say, are these things really happening in our trains? And with, like we had indicated earlier on, we're looking forward as to what exactly will be happening with the advent of COVID-19 going forward. But we also are contemplating and looking into plans to say COVID-19 has also assisted us to reorganize ourselves with respect to modernization of the trains, with respect to making sure that there is safety inside the trains, at the platforms, and actually as you will be exiting train stations.
So PRASA's got a bit of a long hill or uphill battle in terms of restoring its reputation. We've got lots of mismanagement, headlines almost every day, but the organisation still has quite a significant role to play in the movement of people. Apart from the safety issues, hands-on, on the ground, how is the Department of Transport working with PRASA to restore that kind of reputation and really get back to an awesome organisation again?
Let me indicate that when the minister decided to have an administrator in PRASA, it was based on some of the challenges that we have seen, and in particular, internally within PRASA, insider trading of information and other related matters, and hence the minister had to put in an administrator. But beyond that, now we've got a board which actually has started looking into the critical things that we believe will be able to bring back the reputation of PRASA. Yes. One of the things that we believe they should work speedily around is to make sure that they bring back on track the modernization program, because it was stalled by virtue of you having an interim board, you having people who actually believe that they can be able to trade information internally in PRASA. And we believe that the board will be able to have programs that will be able to speed up the modernization. Already, the board, with the interaction and engagement with the minister, they will be looking into the procurement of, let me say in quotes, the toll trains, and be able to enhance the capacity of PRASA, because much as we're talking to issues of vandalism, the rolling stock in PRASA is very old, and therefore that's why we're experiencing the challenges. So with the buying of the new locomotives, it definitely will be able to assist, because you will have trains arriving on time. You will have trains which actually will be able to make sure that they live up to the ideal of reconstruction and revitalization of the railway systems in the Republic of South Africa.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the president, you touched on modernization, and the president recently announced in his economic recovery plan the possibility of some lines on the passenger side being concessioned. What are your thoughts on that? Is there progress? Do you have a task team in place? What's the plan?
That is work in progress, as the president has indicated that probably we may need concessioning. For us, we take it, it's work in place as we are modernizing what is happening in PRASA. When we eventually have a concessioning, we had earlier on a meeting with Gautrain. They have started already working with PRASA in certain lines, and therefore, when we talk to issues of reconcessioning, we take it that is work in progress of some of the work that are happening, because not only are we talking about reconcessioning, focusing on Gautrain, we're also looking into how do we make sure that we maximize what Transnet has as in different corridors, because remember, part of the things that we have to do, not only talking about passenger rail only, we need to remove freight from the roads into the rail, and that is one of the things that the president has spoken about when he was addressing the nation during the State of the Nation address. And these are the things that we're looking at to say, how do we work with Transnet to make sure that we remove freight from road into rail.
What are your hopes? 2 years' time, when you look at PRASA, what do you hope to see?
Let me say that our objective is to make sure that PRASA must go to its glorious day where people, particularly the working class, the learners who are using train, can be able to use it, and it becomes effective, it becomes efficient, it is safe, it is reliable, and it is also secured. So therefore, in 2 years' time, like you're putting it, I would say we have started work in variety of corridors, and therefore PRASA having lost a lot of revenue and having halved passengers. Those passengers will be going back to the train stations back again, and even the revenue will be enhanced. And therefore, that's what I am anticipating in 2 years' time. But critical is that in 2 years' time, we will be seeing what has been vandalized, as in the platforms, as in the stations, being revitalized and being reconstructed and going back to the rightful days and actually being modernized, because for me, that is what becomes important. Nozipho, who's the CEO of Rail, was indicating that amongst other things that they're doing is to have a number of things that will be able to indicate to them where they are faltering. They've got plans which they have submitted to rail safety regulator for them to say, for the regulator to say it is correct, this path that you are taking. But their strategic plans going forward are the plans which actually, for me, I would say I'm quite comfortable with the plans that they have put in place. It be for facility revitalization, it be for safety and security. For me, I would say that they are on track such that in 2 years' time, we will be talking of PRASA that is back to its glorious days.
Well, I hope so, and I really am looking forward to seeing that. I want to see a passenger rail service that caters for all.
No, definitely. Like I said earlier on, with COVID-19, particularly from level 5 to level 3, it has given us a chance to can be able to plan, execute some of the plans, and make sure that, remember, we had a lot of coaches that were touched.
Yes.
Those coaches are now being refurbished, and we believe that we will have extra coaches, and I have already indicated that there is also the locomotives that will be coming into play. But most exciting is the fact that we have Gibela, which actually is now producing other coaches for PRASA, and therefore, in not so distant future, we definitely will be able to see PRASA that has been revitalized. But for me, what becomes important is that looking in totality, economic spin-offs that will be coming out of once PRASA has been revitalized, once the branch lines have been revitalized, once we're able to remove freight from road into rail, and therefore, as the Department of Transport, we will say that what we have termed ourselves to be doing in these 5 years, we would have achieved some. But I take it that it doesn't end there. We need to continue to look into. President in the State of the Nation had indicated that he needs a fast train that will be coming from Musina to Cape Town. And we have already started work in that regard. It will not be coming from Musina to Cape Town, but it will be a fast train that will be leaving from Gauteng to Durban, which actually we believe that because there is work that is happening, in 2 or 3 years' time, we will see that the fruits of what the president has said being realized, and every other thing that we believe can be able to deal with the challenges. Because remember, climate change is catching up with us. The production of the cars that are producing a lot of fumes on the road, we need to also make sure that we improve railways so that we can be able to reduce the challenges of that climate change is impacting on us. And once we are able to have a lot of people using trains, we definitely will be able to say we're living up to contributing towards reduction of carbon emissions in the country.
Well, I'm very excited. You have made me very excited.
I am excited because when you plan things and you see that the plans are starting to unfold in a very positive light, what more can you ask for?
Absolutely. So I just have one request. How do we get a clearer vision of what the plans are in terms of allowing our local industry to really participate?
For me, most of the plans, I would say, most of the plans, most of the legislations, most of the policies are there online for people to can be able to acquaint themselves with. Like today, we were tabling in Parliament, but also tabling to the stakeholders the state of safety report from rail safety regulator. And in many instances, most of these plans, your annual performance plans, your strategic plans of all the state-owned entities in the Department of Transport are there for everybody to can be able to see. But besides that, people who would want to know more or ask questions, the department is there, Department of Transport is there to can be able to answer some of the questions. There are frequently asked questions which actually from the department were able to can be able to say these are the questions that we have been asked frequently. It be on railway, but particularly public transport in totality. People are asking a lot of questions as to what exactly, where are we with regard to public transport. Let me take from what the Director General said when we were in the taxi Lokota.
Yeah.
The ideal of having one ticketing system in the Republic, that you go into a bus, you go into a train, you go into a taxi, you will be having one ticket. Unlike a situation where you see it now, you go into a taxi, you pay, you out of the taxi into a train, you've got another ticket. Out of a train into a bus, you've got another ticket. These are the things and the ideals that we are looking forward to. But that can only happen if we're able to have a coordinated, integrated transport system.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for your time, Deputy Minister. I've had a lovely conversation with you. I look forward to one day meeting you in person.
Looking forward to meeting you in person too, and thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure.
Online. But always remember that we are there as public representatives to can be able to give information or to have discussions or to answer questions to those of our stakeholders who will be in need of one thing or the other. We definitely are there to can be able to respond to some of the issues and have engagement and interaction with our stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day.